The 2023 State of Origin series kicks off in roughly around 3 weeks. I'm recording this at the very start of round 11. In fact, on a Wednesday, funnily enough, I will see State of Origin being on Wednesdays. And, you know, 3 weeks in advance, 3 months in advance, 3 years in advance, everybody's always talking about who's going to be playing for New South Wales, who's going to be playing for Queensland. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be going over my Game 1 side for the New South Wales Blues for the 2023 Origin Series. There's always going to be a lot of debate. There's going to be a lot of players who are super unlucky. Obviously, the big talking point at the moment is who's going to be the 5'8". Is it going to be Jerome Luai or is it going to be Nicho Hynes? There's plenty of debate in the forwards with a lot of injuries happening as of late, in particular in the prop position. There's a fair few players who could be there, but, you know, I probably won't pick because of just, I don't know, a little bit of bias, I guess. Some players that I also think should be there who I know for sure just won't get picked, so I'm not really going to chuck them in the mix. But look, I've come up with a 17. I don't think this is going to be exactly the side. This is more so just what I think the side should be based on sort of what Brad Fittler sort of picks in previous years. So on one hand, I'm trying to add a little bit of realism to it while also trying to give it a little bit of my own touch to it rather than just go, oh, well, he picks Liam Martin every year, I better pick him. Now, we're just about to take a look at the side that I've picked, but before we do so, I didn't mention if you happen to enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on it. The likes are super important. The more likes, the better. I've been saying it in all of my videos, whether it's Rugby League Live 4 or whether it's videos like this. The more likes, the better, guys. If you can help out me, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, do all that sort of stuff. Subscribe as well. We're on the road to 15,000. Hopefully we can hit that pretty soon. So go ahead, give me a like, give me a sub, do all that sort of stuff. Also, if you'd like to further support the channel, you can become a member. You're currently seeing on the screen right now all the current members. We've sort of been going up and down a little bit in terms of the memberships. Obviously, if you can help out the channel monetarily, that's very much appreciated. That also goes for the super chats as well. When I'm streaming, if you want something to stand out or if you just want to support the channel even more, you can leave a super chat. It pops up on the screen. It also stands out a lot more than other messages. And also you get the featuring videos like this. So go ahead, become a member, leave a super chat. Also give me a follow on social media, seeing it on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. That's on all social medias. I don't have a Facebook, but I think I've got everything else on there. It's Mr. Luke on YT. In particular, TikTok, been uploading a little bit. So go ahead, give me a follow, give me an ad. Now we can go through our 1 to 17, starting off with the fullback. I think the fullback really picks itself. Obviously, New South Wales have a lot of players who can play fullback, and you know, realistically, if they were Queenslanders, they probably would get picked for the Queensland side. That's just how talented the Blues fullbacks are. In saying that, there's only one who's really in form, and he does feature in this side, but he's not in the fullback role. The one I've actually picked for the number 1 is James Tedesco. He's the captain. He's been there year after year. He's been that constant fixture in the side. It's funny to think at one point it was, do you go with Matt Moylan or do you go with James Tedesco? Obviously, we've seen how their 2 careers have sort of panned out. James Tedesco going down as, you know, an all-time great, really, if you actually sort of, you know, take into account his whole career. In terms of his form at the moment, as well as majority of the Roosters team, just not really there. He's not scoring tries, not really doing a hell of a lot. But I think that more so says a lot about the Roosters rather than James Tedesco. I think Tedesco himself knows that the Roosters aren't playing to their ability. He tries his guts out every week, and that's the thing, that even when the Blues weren't winning, you never could fault James Tedesco. You could always look at him and say, all right, effort's definitely there. He's getting in. He's taking a lot of shitty runs. Sometimes you could probably say he overplays his hand sometimes in Origin, but for me, James Tedesco is going to be the number 1. Regardless of everything, I think he's still the best fullback in the game. Just obviously the Roosters aren't going too crash hot. And honestly, there could have been a few more Roosters in this side had the form been a lot better. I'm looking at your Sualees and all that sort of stuff. At one point, Daniel Tupou, there's talk about both of them. Obviously, Tupou injured, but just in terms of the Roosters backline, they could have had a few more people in the New South Wales side. Just form isn't there. So Tedesco at number 1. I'm going to go the wingers. Brian To'o picks himself, kind of similar to Tedesco at this point. He just has to be there. Even if the Panthers aren't playing as good as they have done in previous years, Brian To'o is definitely there. He's a meter eater. Has to be there. That's all that really needs to be said about Brian To'o. The other winger, though, is the one that has been talked about a lot, because I did touch on it earlier. Daniel Tupou has been a previous inclusion in sides, and I don't particularly think he deserved to be in there at times as well. A lot of talk about Campbell Graham needing to be in the side. I think Campbell Graham, fantastic player, but for me, he's been making his name in the centres. I know they want to check him on the wing, but this is what New South Wales seems to do. They get guys who aren't playing this position and they chuck them in on the big dance. Campbell Graham hasn't played State of Origin. I know he's played for Australia on the wing, but it's been years since he's actually properly played wing. And they want to chuck him in State of Origin on the wing possibly. For me, you got to go Josh Addo-Carr. If Josh Addo-Carr's fit, which he returns this week, if he comes back and he plays half decent, We know how effective he is with the centre pairing of Latrell Mitchell and Tom Trbojevic. It pretty much sort of picks itself, but in a way hasn't picked itself because Tommy Turbo has been a little bit injury prone. Definitely hasn't looked like himself, but for me, I still take Tom Trbojevic in the centres at like 80, 85%. And I feel like even in State of Origin, I don't think he's going to go out there and half-arse it. For Manly, maybe so. Like, I probably wouldn't put it past a player to sort of just try and coast through a game and not get injured playing for Manly. No offense to Manly, but it's just like another NRL game. Whereas State of Origin, you see players all the time play through injury, play through fatigue, things that you probably wouldn't normally see at club level. They seem to be able to do for State of Origin. So for game one, I would definitely chuck Tommy in there as long as he's somewhat fit. As long as he can get through the game, I would pick him. Latrell obviously picks himself. He's definitely going to be there. And then I think because Latrell's there, you link him up with Josh Addo-Carr. They are lethal. Latrell, you got to have a lot of players on him. But also, you can't leave Addo-Carr exposed on the wing there too. So it's such a good combination for me because Latrell's got all the flick passes. He can beat tackles and then get it to the Fox who's just gone. And we've seen in the past too, Addo-Carr's also added that like a little bit of extra ability just in terms of like kick chasing and all that sort of stuff. He seems to be able to get to the ball, and this happened in the World Cup. It's happened for the Bulldogs. I feel like it didn't necessarily happen too often for the Storm, but you can have plays purely dedicated to just kicking to Addo-Carr, who's just so much faster than everyone else. And depending on if the hammer gets picked for Queensland, he's going to be the fastest on the field at all times. So Addo-Carr has to be there for me. Like, it has to be there. I know Campbell Graham is kind of just, he's the odd one out. And depending on, like, if anyone goes down injured, obviously he can slot in there. Wouldn't even be surprised if they chucked, like, a Campbell Graham on the bench or someone. It's just one of those ones I personally wouldn't do it, but I could see Brad Fittler possibly doing it with Jack Whiten not being available, obviously retiring. But yeah, I've gone with Tedesco, To'o, Tommy, Latrell, and Fox as the back five. Now the halves, this is where things get very, very interesting. It's where a lot of the debate is. Probably the second behind the whole 5'8" position is maybe like Campbell Graham. He is a big talking point, but this is where we're going to the number 6. So, I mean, halfback is Nathan Cleary, of course. It's obviously Nathan Cleary. But the second best, you could argue probably the best player in the game. You can make an argument for it. I don't think he is, but you can make an argument for him. He did win the Dally M last year. He's in a great side. Nicho Hynes been chipping away at the Storm, gets his move to the Sharks, and now he's become an absolute superstar of the game on and off the field. I think he should be the 5'8". I know Jerome Luai has been there. The combination's been there. In previous years, I've never really seen Jerome Luai actually play like a pretty good Origin game. A lot of the times he's benefited from other players around him either winning the game for them, like your Latrells and such, where he just had to pass in the ball and he barged his way over, or they end up losing the game. At no point has there been a time where I was like, oh my God, thank God Jerome Luai's in the side. He can do something. Now, they've tried a few 5'8". Every year there's going to be talk of Cody Walker as well. Just for me, no. You got to go Nicho Hynes. You got to at least give him a go. We can't sit here this year after losing last year and have the what ifs. I don't want to see Nicho Hynes coming off the bench and then, New South Wales come out and lose him and go, what happened? What happened if he ended up playing? And then if they win too, like, I don't necessarily see them winning off the back of Jerome Luai. So just play Nicho Hynes, man. Just play him. He's great. If things are pressuring Nathan Cleary, he can take over the reins. If Nathan Cleary goes down hurt, he can take over the reins. Jerome Luai can't. I don't have faith in Jerome Luai being able to do that. He's a good club player. He's a decent club player. And I feel like we need to sort of go away from all of the Panthers combinations and relying on them, because obviously it's not working this year in NRL. It hasn't really worked that well in State of Origin. So I would like to see us sort of go away from picking purely like Penrith and Roosters players, because that's what it's felt like in previous years. So my highest combination of Cleary and Hynes, they, to me, seem like the obvious one, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Jerome Luai remains in the side. Now on to the forwards, which I feel like at different points throughout the year, by the time this team's actually announced, could be plenty more injuries. That's the forwards. It always happens. There's guys like Campbell Gillard and such who I probably would have had in the side, but obviously they've gone down injured. Now, who I've actually gone with, the props, Payne Haas and Junior Paulo, I think are definitely going to be there. Payne Haas for sure as a starter. Junior Paulo, I think will probably start. He has in the past. I'm assuming he will start. So that'll be your two starters. The hooker position, Damien Cook, Abbott Coruscant, either or. For me, Damien Cook, I think you put him back in. I think they're playing a lot better. Obviously, Coruscant doesn't necessarily have the form going in. And like I said, I'd like to see us sort of steer clear of the whole Panthers combo and picking players purely because they played for Penrith. Like, they play together. I'm so sick of that whole narrative of you need to play together at club level. We saw the Maroons in their big stretch of wins, their big streak. I don't think many of them played together. Obviously, you had the Storm combo, but apart from that, a lot of other people just randomly chucked in there. And even then, the Storm guys, there was only like, 2 or 3 of them. So you don't need to have super big club combos. And obviously, Damien Cook's been there in the past. He's experienced enough. He usually plays pretty decent at Origin level, and the Rabbitohs are absolutely flying at the moment. So for me, you go Damien Cook. If they picked Coruscant, I wouldn't be like majorly disappointed, but I definitely think Damien Cook is the one. Might be his last Origin series possibly, but yeah, for me, Damien Cook is the number 9. Back row is where things get difficult because of lots of injuries and such. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, Liam Martin has sort of been a mainstay, but he's barely played this year. So for me, you can't go Liam Martin. But then it sort of becomes, who do you pick? Because I probably would have picked Colin Matangi, but he's gone down injured. I don't really know. Like, even Jake Trbojevic being injured is throwing a spanner in the works too, because, you know, there's another prop position / lock, depending on where you want to play him. Cameron Murray hasn't been setting the world on fire, in my opinion, this year, but at the same time, I think you chuck him in the back row and he's going to do a solid job for you. Always has. He has done for New South Wales for years. So for me, he's going to be a starting back rower. The second one, I don't really know. There's going to be a lot of talk about Olakau'atu for Manly. For me, very good player, but Manly, just in terms of in general, like, I feel like just a little bit too inconsistent. Not sure if he's ready for this step up to State of Origin at the moment. The guy I've actually gone for is Hudson Young. I don't know if that's going to be a controversial call, but I feel like he's ready. I feel like last year he sort of cemented himself as being like one of the better back rowers in the game. I thought he was a little bit unlucky to not get picked for Australia in terms of the tour and, you know, maybe get a game against some of the lower ranked sides. But for me, I think with all the injuries, you go Hudson Young, hits a hole. He's skillful. Even when the Raiders don't look that great, he still looks fairly good. So I think that should kind of say it all about him. And I think he is someone capable of going to the next level, and he doesn't have those silly errors, in my opinion. So I've gone for Hudson Young. Could go for a number of players, but I've gone for him. And then obviously the 13, Isaiah Yeo, captain of Penrith, back-to-back premiers. I've talked about sort of getting away from the whole Panthers sort of play style, but I feel like Isaiah Yeo is going to be there regardless if they want to play like the Panthers. And yeah, he's just a fantastic player. He sees the game probably better than anyone else in terms of forwards. And obviously there's still going to be that combination with Nathan Cleary as well. And even whoever else, he's going to help out your Nicho Hynes. He's going to help out Tedesco. He's going to help out everyone around him. So for me, you go Isaiah Yeo. And then obviously Cameron Murray, at different points, can come in and play a lock if he needs to. We've got pretty decent versatility in terms of the back row. So Isaiah Yeo, Cameron Murray, like it's a good back row. That's all that really needs to be said. And then going on to the bench, this is where I did struggle with a little bit. Angus Crichton is the one that I was looking at initially, and I had him as like a starting second rower, but I feel like in previous years he's come off the bench. They seem to start with like Liam Martin or someone, Tarek Sims in previous years too. It's funny, like you got Tarek Sims who was getting picked every year, and now he can't even make the Melbourne side. Yeah, I've gone for Crichton just because I think he can play in the middle and on the edge. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being like a starting second rower, because initially I had him there and I sort of switched him to the bench. Sort of just thinking more so what Brad Fittler actually does use him as. And with a lack of props, in my opinion, for New South Wales, he's someone who I guess could fill in at a stretch. There's also guys like David Clemmer and all that who I didn't pick, Jack DeBellin, who, you know, maybe in the mix, Matty Lodges, they always get talked about every year. Clem is probably the only one who would actually decently consider, but there's those guys. But for me, I've gone with Matt Burton as like the utility guy. That, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Nicho Hynes ends up in this role, but for me, Matt Burton, he can play in the halves, he can obviously play in the backs. Even if you're looking for a little bit of an X factor, he's got the bomb as well. I think he's someone who could just come on and just do a job. Wherever you need to chuck him, he can just get on there. And I feel like the backline's versatile enough that, you know, if there's an injury to Tedesco, Latrell or Tommy can go to fullback, or, you know, like the wing, and then Burton come into the centres. If there's an injury in the halves, Burton can come on and play in the halves in his actual position. I think he's capable. Already played for New South Wales, so doesn't have to worry about, you know, not playing in big games and stuff like that. So I think Burton is someone they'll consider. Whether they go for him, I don't know. Obviously, he hasn't been like the best of form, but he's just someone who I think can take that Jack Whiten spot that they seem to want to have. So for me, you got Matt Burton there. Then the last two spots, I didn't really know who to go with, but I've gone with Spencer Leniu and Ryan Madison. I think Madison, a little bit of a meme at the start of the season because of his sort of off-field / on-field antics in terms of not playing, but when he's actually been playing, I think he's very good. I think he's played for New South Wales before. Not someone I immediately thought of as like, oh, well, he needs to be in the New South Wales side. But when I went through all the players, I looked at who was out and I looked at who's been influential for the Eels and just in terms of back rowers, I thought Ryan Madison and also just the versatility too, where he can cover. I think he plays a little bit of front row for the Eels. He can also play back row. For me, that's purely the reason I've got him in there because I think he's just a good bench option. And then speaking of bench options, Spencer Leniu, I'm pretty sure he's New South Wales. I'm hoping he's New South Wales. Definitely played in the 20s and stuff. Signed with the Roosters, but he looks fantastic. In my opinion, he's the best bench forward. And I think you got to go a guy. We don't have to go a guy, but when we're lacking options in terms of front rowers, and in State of Origin, you want someone who can bend the line, and I think he can do that. We've seen him do it on multiple occasions for Penrith, and in big games too against some of the better sides and the better forward packs. So it's not like he's just a flat track bully or something. He can come out there and do it against the best. So I've gone Spencer Leniu and then Ryan Madison. And like I said, there's plenty of other players you can chuck in there, and in a couple of weeks' time, I'll probably change my mind. Even by the time I've uploaded this video, I'll probably change my mind. But that's just my 1 to 17. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you rate this side? Do you think it's shit? Is there anyone I've missed? Would you have Jerome Luai on the side? Would you have any other guys? I feel like there's probably going to be some guys who are saying, Dylan Edwards should get picked, and Campbell Graham, a big one who probably should get picked. But look, that's my 1 to 17. Look, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to wrap things up here. Like I said, leave a comment of your 1 to 17 or just guys that you would pick or drop from my side. Just let me know in the comment section below. I'll definitely reply to you. If you happen to enjoy this video though, because I'm going to wrap things up, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll save you a whole shtick that I did at the start of the video. Just go ahead and leave a like, subscribe. We're nearly 15,000. Go ahead and do that. Also, chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad, especially on TikTok and Instagram. It's where I'm most active. Give me a follow, give me an ad, and stay tuned for more content on the channel. Not sure when I'll do a Queensland one. I'm assuming I'll probably do a Queensland one. We've got plenty of content to be made in the lead up to State of Origin. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you for the next one. See yous.